Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And in this preview video, I'll be previewing the campaign of a side that, since missing out on direct qualification for this competition a few months back, won the qualifiers in some style and got to the finals of the Asia Cup. They appear a rejuvenated side, and they last won the World Cup in 1996 and were part of the final in 2011 between them and India. This team is Sri Lanka. Looking at the squad, despite the fact that a couple of key players are absent due to injury, I think one thing Sri Lanka would be happy with going into this World Cup is that the batting looks much better than what it was before the qualifiers. They had a wretched series against India before the qualifiers, and I think played one more series before it was confirmed that they had to go through the qualifier to make it to the World Cup. And since then, they've got some good batting performances under their belt, especially with the top five. And in the Asia Cup, you saw a couple of good performances as well from most of the players in terms of how the top five went. And I think with how it looks now, you actually have some kind of an expectation with how they would go with the bat. Before, with the same players there, you didn't know how they would get good totals consistently. But now I think you've got the confidence, especially with the top five, which is a good thing for them. In terms of the bowling, Dilshan Madhushankar's return, a talented left-arm seamer, which is a huge positive. You've got Lahiru Kumara back from injury as well, and unfortunately the absences of Hasaranga and Dushmanta Chamira are blows to the side. I think the area that they will struggle with is that after the top five, the balance in their 11 isn't quite there, and that may cause them problems. And in the next part of this video, I'll give my views on what their 11 should be and the options they have at their disposal, and I'll be elaborating on how the balance may give them problems throughout this competition. Regarding how I think their 11 should go, I've gone at Pathum Nissanka and Dimuth Karunaratne to open the batting, with Kusal Mendis at 3 and Sadira Samaravikrama at 4. Charita Salanka at 5, Dhananjaya De Silva 6, Dasun Shanaka 7, Dunit Vellalege 8, Mahesh Deekshana 9, Dilshan Madhushanka 10, and Matisha Patirana at number 11. And starting from the top in a short opening combination in Pathum Nissanka and Dimuth Karunaratne. On Pathum Nissanka, he's averaged almost 46 this year, and with what I've said in previous videos, he's perfectly suited to opening the batting in this format in this part of the world, given the demands. In terms of the top four, setting things up for the others to follow, you've got a good sign there with both the openers being proficient in playing that way. So I think both Nissanka and Karunaratne opening the batting is quite a good thing for Sri Lanka. Kusal Mendis at 3. Now, in terms of what he's done this year, 21 innings, averages 33 with 550s. He hasn't been as consistent over the course of the year. He played a couple of good innings in the Asia Cup, and he veers more on the attacking side. So there may be a case where he has to rein himself in slightly to help establish the foundation for the others. I think for the rest of the top four, you've got faith in them that they'll maybe be able to hang around for a bit in time, even if they have to curb their instincts. And I think you've got the openers that are proficient, like I said, in playing in a more measured manner. If Kusal Mendis at times can rein himself in, he's got the ability, of course, and I do back him to do well in this part of the world. However, I think him going at number 3 is the key, because you don't want one of your top four being dismissed early on frequently in this part of the world, in this front where you have to get your top four to set things for the other players. And Sadira Samaravikrama has averaged almost 40 this year, and I think the first time I saw him play was opening the batting for Sri Lanka in Test cricket against India when they toured. He was cleaned up by a Jaffa bowled by Ishant Sharma. Since then, I hadn't seen him play, and he had good seasons in the last couple of Lanka Premier League editions. He's back in the side after a while, and he's gone quite well, and I back him to succeed at number 4. And Charita Salanka at 5. Yes, he only averages 34 this year, but with what he showed in the Asia Cup, I think he's coming back into form at the right time, and he's a good player of both pace and spin, has both gears. He can graft and go aggressively as well, and I think with the confidence that he's shown at 5, he's a vital player for this team. And you look at this top 5 and you think, just a while back, a few months ago, it was a completely different story. Now Sri Lanka can look at this top 5 and think, right, we've got some expectation looking at those players. And now at number 6, you've got Dhananjaya De Silva. Now, he's a stylish player, and when he's walked out to bat earlier on, he has got off the blocks quickly. He's a player that at number 6 at times you've seen, and more often than not, he's been the player that he's not blazed away. He's kind of played a close to runnable innings at times. He's not been in terms of a finisher that other sides would have at 6. And this is the case where from this point onwards, the balance in the side seems to be a bit disrupted, because as a number 6, despite the fact that when he walks out earlier on, Dhananjaya De Silva can get off the blocks quickly, he's not the ideal number 6, and the problem that you've got after him is that the player that's supposed to be at 6 hasn't done much with the bat or with the ball and is just batting at 7, and he's disrupting the balance of the side. Despite the fact that Dhananjaya De Silva bowls some handy overs of off spin and is an economical bowler, without him giving the finishing kick at 6 and with Dasun Shanaka not being in form, then you've got a lot of pressure on Charita Sri Lanka, who has both gears, and whoever else is set with him to take their team to a good total. Because if one of the players in the top 5 are dismissed, even at that 40th over mark when you've got a foundation set, then you've got a case where Sri Lanka maybe wouldn't achieve the total that they would look like getting. You saw that in the Asia Cup where, yes, it was enough to win the game in the end, but Sri Lanka were looking like getting more than a 280 odd. And the moment a couple of wickets fell, it took Mahesh Deekshana and someone else, I think Dunit Velalage, to get them to a 280 odd score. So this team has a vulnerability in that area, and the top 5 is going to have to do it for them with what we've seen thus far. And if he walks out earlier, then Dhananjaya De Silva could be a handy option, but if you're looking for him to be the aggressor at number 6, it may not work out too often. On the outright positives in the bowling, Mahesh Deekshana has taken 31 wickets in 15 innings this year. Before the qualifiers, I didn't quite think he'd got bowling in this format, but he took 22 wickets in 8 games in the qualifiers and followed that up with a good Asia Cup. So I think now he's ready to take that responsibility going into this World Cup, and he'll have to be the lead spinner in the absence of Wanindu Hasaranga. He can bowl in all 3 phases of the innings, very good with the new ball and at the death as well, and he's got a lot of variations in his locker, and I think he's going to have to be one of the bankers in the Sri Lankan side for them to have a good tournament. Another positive is the return of Dilshan Madhushankar after an injury layoff. A talented left-arm seamer who's proficient at bowling with the new ball, and if you've got Deekshana and Madhushankar bowling with a new ball, that's a very good combination. And Matisha Patirana has blown hot and cold in his ODI career thus far, mostly cold. But out of the seamers in the squad, the one trait that he's got that the others haven't quite got as of now is bowling at the death. And I think he will also be vital in terms of bowling the middle overs and at the death. You've got the spinners to bowl in the middle overs for Sri Lanka as well, but I think if you're looking at death bowling, and this is where some of the concerns do come in terms of seamers, one of the seamers will have to perform at a skill that is not part of their primary skill set. Madhushankar, Lahiru Kumara and Kasun Rajita are all proficient at bowling with a new ball, but at the death they all go for runs. And in terms of seamers, that's something that they'll have to be mindful of. And I think Madhushankar, since if fit, he will play every game. Patirana plays every game. Madhushankar is going to have to take the responsibility alongside Patirana and Mahesh Deekshana. And on Mahesh Deekshana, he didn't play the final of the Asia Cup because of an injury that he picked up. They say he will join the squad today and he should be fit for the first game. But if he isn't fit for a couple of games, and I think the first game they play against South Africa and Delhi, so without Hasaranga and Mahesh Deekshana, I think that would be a bit of a blow for Sri Lanka in terms of offensive weapons going to that game with the conditions on offer and considering the opposition they're playing against. If Mahesh Deekshana isn't fit for a couple of games, I think you could either bring in Dushan Hemanta or Kasun Rajita. And Lahiru Kumara rather. And if you bring in Dushan Hemanta, he's a decent spinner, but can he fill in the shoes of Mahesh Deekshana considering Deekshana can bowl in all 3 phases of the innings? I don't think he is a backup for Deekshana in this case. And Lahiru Kumara, I think if he plays instead of Mahesh Deekshana, you've got a case where Kumara and Madhushankar with the new ball, you've got Patirana in the middle overs, but then you've got Charita Sri Lanka and Dhananjaya De Silva as the attacking threats in terms of spin, and they are economical defensive bowlers. So Patirana will have it all to do in the middle phase, and at the death you've got, like I said, Patirana and then two other bowlers. The death bowling is not in their primary skill set. So without Deekshana, things may be a problem in the middle overs. He's a bowler who can bowl in all phases of the innings, and you can't say that about the seamers or the spinner replacing him in the side if that were to be the case. And of course, they'll be missing Wanindu Hasaranga. And I think looking at the balance in the side, if you've got Dasun Shanaka playing at 7, he bats and he bowls. Apart from that, you can't say too much more. With his bowling, I don't think you can even play as a 4th seamer in the side, let alone be the 3rd seamer. And I think that is something that is disrupting the balance. It's perfectly okay to have a Dhananjaya De Silva at 6 in terms of when Sri Lanka play at home, the way that their games go, and even in India, I think if Dhananjaya De Silva at 6, since they haven't got other options, it may not be so bad. But if you've got Dhananjaya De Silva at number 6, you've got to have a number 7 that is more of a bowling all-rounder. Dasun Shanaka hasn't done much with the bat or with the ball. That's what's disrupting the balance in the side. If a Hasaranga was available and potentially if Dasun Shanaka wasn't captain, then he would have played at number 7 and he would have added to the spin in this attack. And him and Deekshana being the lead spinners along with a Madhushanka with the newborn Patirana at the death would have made this attack look much better. But unfortunately, with the balance being disrupted, I think this may cause problems for them during this World Cup, and they'll have to manage things well. As far as the batting backup goes, Kusal Perera is one of the backups, and in terms of where he could bat, in my view, he can only bat at the top of the order. And secondly, which player in the top 5 is he a backup for, considering the way he looks to play? I've said this quite a few times in these previews. The key to batting in ODIs in this part of the world is for your top 4 to set things up for the players to follow. They tried playing Kusal Perera instead of Karunaratne in the games against Pakistan and India in the Asia Cup, and he scored a few boundaries early on against Pakistan before he was dismissed. And if you play him ahead of Karunaratne, then with the fact that he looks to go for shots from the get-go, and if he's dismissed early on more often than not, and you got a Kusal Mendes who veers more so on the attacking side, there's a lot of pressure on Nisanka and Samir Wickrama to come up with the goods. So Dimut Karunaratne has to play ahead of Kusal Perera on the side. Dushan Hemanta is a backup for Dhananjaya De Silva and Dinit Velalage. I don't know how he goes, I haven't seen him play before. Maybe given the opportunity he may go well. But if Dhananjaya De Silva or Dinit Velalage have bad patches during this tournament, then it won't be ideal for Sri Lanka because they've been good in the Asia Cup, and you want players that have come into this tournament with good form to do well. So the balance isn't looking too good for Sri Lanka. I think they will struggle, and the good in this side, the bankable good in this side is going to have to help them quite a bit to have a good tournament this time around. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?